welcome back to Car Astrology. It's like Get a Life Astrology with TMZ. In my car as usual, because, full-time job and trying to do astrology videos for YouTube and TikTok. And I put them on Instagram and Facebook too. It's a little tough. But good thing it's a beautiful sunny day. Second day of spring. 1 month from my oldest daughter's 22nd birthday. It is March 22nd, 2023. So yeah, shout out to Gemini Brown, who is an astrologer I watch frequently on YouTube. Let me remind you all, I was introduced to birth charts at a very young age by my mother. Then we brought them back when my kids were born. So now I have a 21-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So we used to do their charts. And when I looked at my son's chart, he's a Libra, Sun, Moon, Mars, Libra and Mars, Libra and Venus. Only thing he has in Scorpio is Mercury. He's pretty much his big six, except his rising is Taurus. But he was born 2 days before Scorpio season. He's October 21st. So long story short, his birth chart was so intriguing to me that I was like, let me check more into this. And then I just started teaching myself, especially after March 11th, 2020, which is the last time I had a job until I got the one I have now last April. It's almost my year anniversary. But anyway, long story short, I had to force myself to do people's birth charts for $20 until I could get better at it. And now I'm charging more. But yeah, being at home not only got me back into being into astrology, it also helped me teach myself. So Gemini Brown is one of the people, other than Bracha Goldsmith, Molly McCord, Kim White, and Scorpio Mystique, just to name a few, are the people that taught me. Adam Eblas, I forgot how you pronounce his last name. He used to be a Chutababa. Aster Victor. I look at a lot of people of all races, shapes, and sizes, and ages. So yeah, that's just a little bit of background on how I became TMZ, the CEO of Get a Life Astrology. So yeah, and Astrolata. So watching Gemini Brown and Astrolata speak on Pluto, because we are in the eve of Pluto moving into Aquarius in just a few hours. So yeah, I was watching Astrolata on YouTube go through the generations, because Pluto is a generational planet. I know y'all like to talk about my seatbelt choking me, but yeah, y'all just gonna have to deal with it. So anyway, just like I deal with it. So anyway, today I remembered that I wrote something down, and I'm just gonna have to start it in the car and try to finish it when I get in the house. But Gemini Brown did like a wrap up of Pluto being in Capricorn, and since again today is the last day that Pluto's in the Capricorn until it goes back into retrograde, and it retrogrades back into Capricorn in June of this year, and then it'll go back into Aquarius of January 2024. We're still going to get something out of this Pluto Aquarius for a couple of months, because starting tomorrow we'll be in it. Now, just a reminder, when Pluto switches signs, even though Pluto deals with the entire collective, so everybody's affected, it's still the slowest moving, furthest planet out. So it's going to be slow but sure change, okay? I remember hearing, because I don't remember exactly when this happened. I do know it was in 2008, but we had that housing crisis in 2008 when Pluto moved into Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign, has to deal with reality and like slapping you with the reality, because Pluto is the planet of intensity and transformation and death and rebirth. So literally, I want to say we weren't involved, my family, because in 2008 we were actually involved, because I left my ex-husband in 2009, and in 2008 we had moved into a house actually that was already under foreclosure, and they lied and told us that it wasn't, and the sheriffs had to come to our door and let us know that we had to move out, but, take your time and all that. And then they paid us money to move out so that, technically we weren't squatters because we showed them that there was a fake lease that was given to us. Long story short, my mother was okay because she had been in her house since 1996 when Pluto was in Sagittarius. We're going to talk about all those. So again, these are generational. This is a generational planet, so it has to do with the generation. So I'm from Generation X. Some of them like to call my Generation X part because it's toward the end. I was born like smack in the middle of Pluto and Libra. At 15 degrees is when I was born in 1977. So we're considered the Zillennials because Pluto changed signs again in 1982. So 1982 to like 1998, it was in Scorpio. So it was at home because Pluto rules Scorpio and things were extra intense. And I'm going to give you excerpts from my perspective and what I went through at these times since I was born in Pluto and Libra. And then once I get at home, I can go into more detail about the other generations. But let's just start, since I went all around the bush, as usual. Let's just start with going from Pluto and Libra in my experience to Pluto and Aquarius, which is going to be tomorrow. Totally unpredicted because Uranus, the planet of unpredictability and rebellion and kind of scorpionic things. Aquarius can be compared to Scorpio because it's very dark and mysterious and unpredictable and nonchalant. Yeah, Scorpios are too. But anyway, let me get started. So, November 15th, 1977, that was when I was born in Washington, D.C., 4:35 a.m. if anybody wants to double check my birth certificate. My birth chart. So, yeah, I just gave you the info. My degree of Pluto is, again, 14 degrees in Libra. In the 12th house. So, yeah, I got a lot of hidden stuff that happened. I've hidden the book that I wrote in 2018. And even Gemini Brown, shout out to him again because he inspired me to do this, said that he created a book in 2008, which is when Pluto went and moved into Capricorn, and it still hasn't been published. And mine hasn't been published either since I wrote it in 2018. But I think unexpectedly I'm going to publish it between now and 2024. Getting back to business. Maybe in that retrograde I need to do that. But anyway, so Pluto in Libra has to deal with the transformation of relationships. And because I was smack in the middle and it changed about 5 years later, my parents had a rough relationship. I had a sister born actually in 1982. So she's like at the very beginning of Pluto and Scorpio, which is really interesting. We just came back together. So I'm definitely not trying to bring up old stuff. But I was never mad at my sister. I was more mad at her mother, who was also a Scorpio. But yeah, long story short, I have to look at my sister's chart again. She was born like right when it switched or either right before it switched. So anyway, Pluto and Libra brought in a lot of divorces. Even though I'm not born in Pluto and Virgo. Pluto and Virgo was about the men servicing the home. Virgo has to do with the service you give to others. So men were out working, being the workers, and women were home being the service providers for the home. So that's just a little bit on Pluto and Virgo. Again, I'm going to go through them. I'm going to go back to Leo because that's where the baby boomers are. So I'll do that in the second half of this. But yes, Pluto in Libra, smack in the middle when I was born. My parents' relationship was super crazy. Like, I didn't notice it, of course, until Pluto and Scorpio came and all the secrets started coming out. So, but Pluto and Libra has to deal with the relationships breaking up. The discovery of divorce, the more higher divorce rates. People relating with other people and building new relationships with other people, and that's what brought on the divorces. So while I was born, I didn't realize as a baby my parents are going through it. But as early as 6 years old, y'all, literally as soon as Pluto moved into Scorpio, all our secrets started coming out. So Pluto and Scorpio was between 1982, because Pluto takes about 14 to 20 years to go through every sign. It could be at the least 11 years. It could be at the most 22 years. Okay. It all depends. And what it depends on, I can't get into right now because I need to refresh myself on that. But yes, so Pluto and Scorpio started around the early 80s, mid 80s. And, this is when, Scorpio represents intensity. Scorpio represents everything Pluto represents: transformation, death, rebirth, fear, power. Did I say intensity? So, women. Scorpio represents sex. Women were all over my Piscean father. And he has a Cancer moon. So, he showed that he cared a lot about women. His emotions were there, But my father, aside of his birth chart, he was a Vietnam vet and a DC cop. So, little corruption there. My father definitely did his job well, but did a lot of stuff on the side of his job that probably wouldn't. It got him fired. Literally, it got him fired. So, all this is in my book. I'm not going to spoil it, but my father asked me to kill him when I was very young. He exposed me to porn at a very young age. Ultimately, I became a stripper, and I did a little porn myself too. So this is what my book is about. Literally about that Pluto and Scorpio time period for myself. I noticed my friends' parents were going through the same thing. A lot of cheating, a lot of kids being born, stepbrothers and sisters, and those kind of things were happening to me and my friends, who also were born in Libra, because we were all the same age. Pluto and Libra. So, Pluto and Scorpio, if you remember, how intense was your life if you were born around then? This is the group, the millennials. This is the group that is like, have seen it all. My previous, because I don't claim her anymore, because we're Scorpio sons, both of us, and she was born in Pluto and Scorpio, and she was born and her father was killed later on. So it's just like a lot of intensity between 82, 80s is when the drugs came out heavy, especially crack and cocaine, right? I'm sure they were out before then, but crack was like literally the biggest thing in the 80s. Then in the 90s, like right before they switched to Pluto and Sagittarius, and we all literally started having big fun. I say this all the time to all the other generations after us. Those who were in their 20s, like those of us who were Pluto and Libra, 20s, 30s, late 20s, mid 20s to early 30s, we were having big fun in the 90s. But let me finish with Pluto and Scorpio, then I'll talk about Pluto and Sag. So the millennials that were born on Pluto and Scorpio literally have seen it all, been through it all. And that was because it was like literally, it was fun. It was really sexy. A lot of us, the generations, Pluto, Generation X and millennials, we all freaked out, full of torment and toxicity in those generations. Okay, I mean literally between Gen X, millennials, and now Gen Z and alphas are the young babies now, like under 10. My youngest daughter and under have experienced a lot. Take it easy with us. Take it easy with us. All right, so Pluto and Sag. Now Sagittarius, I compare this to like when the moon is in Scorpio and it moves into Sag. So, the moon in Scorpio triggers me to have arguments all the time. And as soon as that moon switches to Sag, it's like, whew, argument over. Let's go party. Let's go have a drink. Let's go chill out and relax. Like, that was tough. So, literally when Pluto moved into Sagittarius, I think I'm wrong with the dates. I think Pluto and Scorpio ended a lot sooner than that. I may be wrong. Pluto and Sagittarius, mid-90s, let's say. The mid-90s, I was leaving high school. Let me tell you, when I was leaving high school, I gave my parents pregnancy scares the entire time. But as soon as I got out of high school and had 1 year of college, y'all, and I went to a party school, Virginia State, shout out to VSU. That is when I actually did get pregnant. Now, I'm gonna leave some of this story for the book that I'm forcing myself to publish ASAP. But I literally got pregnant after a party. Like, I literally was in the club. In DC, we listen to go-go music heavily. That's our music from DC. Go-go music is just like a lot of percussion music, a lot of congos, rototons, which are like drums, and keyboard and rappers and singers. So they do cover songs, which are like songs that are already mainstream, and then they put the go-go beat to it. Long story short, I was in the go-go personally every day of the week. Didn't matter if I had to go to work. Didn't really have to work because a lot of the guys that I was dealing with would take care of everything for me, even my male friends. So it was just party time all the time. Party time. And I mean, like, up until about me graduating, or when I was supposed to graduate in 99, is like when I really kind of just started slowing things down. Even if Pluto had, switched, I know I'm wrong, because Pluto didn't switch to Capricorn until 2008. So party time was literally set. The Pluto and Sagittarius started in 1998. So that's where I'm wrong. And then it went to 2008. 1997, 98. So I graduated in 95, got pregnant in 96. That was the end of Scorpio season. That was the end of Pluto and Scorpio. Hopefully y'all are staying with us, because I'm trying to watch the traffic, not hit anybody, and talk to y'all at the same time. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm in Capitol Hill, y'all. So anyway, it's big traffic coming out the downtown area. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole now. But anyway, so yeah, Pluto, wrapping up Pluto and Scorpio and tying us into Pluto and Sag. Once we had finished being totally freaked out, once we had finished, creating babies from hidden relationships and secret rendezvous and those kind of things, which is when I made a baby, 2 babies that I did not have. And again, more stories, more news on that in the book, but at the end of Pluto and Scorpio. So I would have had 2 millennials right now, but that did not happen. All right, so Pluto and Sag began 1998 to 2008. So this was a shorter transit, but it was definitely a fun transit. So like I said, Pluto and Scorpio, toxic, fearful, overpowering, just a little too much. It was fun, but it was still intense. So as we moved into Sagittarius, Pluto and Sagittarius, it was more about travel. It was more about fun. It was more about real, true, genuine fun, like go outside and play fun. We did have the internet at this time. It came in Pluto and Scorpio, but people were still doing a lot more. The internet wasn't as intense as it became in 2008 and beyond in Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto and Sagittarius is like girls trip time. Literally, me and my friends, we were everywhere on the East Coast because we were still in college and we were just still like, enjoying life. I know in 1998 is the first time I went to Freaknik. For those of y'all who remember the real Freaknik, it was really fun. I know I went to Paris. That was kind of like at the end of Pluto and Scorpio in 96. But we just did a lot of traveling, a lot of trips. We would, every time there was a go-go band from DC that was somewhere on the East Coast, it didn't matter where we were on that East Coast, we would go to them just for fun, just to travel. Took a lot of shopping trips. Pluto and Sagittarius. So Sagittarius also represents higher learning. So we all were in college, partying, spent an extra year in college. Didn't graduate till 2000 when I graduated from high school in 95, so I didn't take any semesters off. I just went straight through 5 years because I was partying, you know? It was party time. I always say this to my kids. I said, we literally messed it up for y'all because we was partying so much, and now they have so many things on restriction. But that is Pluto and Capricorn energy, being realistic, being restricted and limited. But yeah, Pluto and Sagittarius was all about traveling. So even though I had my first 2 kids while Pluto was in Sagittarius, so yes, Generation Z that I have, the 2 kids, my 2 oldest, my son and my daughter, they would go on trips all day. We were literally talking about this earlier, how my mother would take all of us, even my ex-husband, me, and my 2 oldest kids, to Florida literally every year. She would take my 2 kids to New York to see the Thanksgiving parade every Thanksgiving. She would go take them here, there, and everywhere. And if she weren't taking them, me and my ex-husband were taking them. These kids literally traveled everywhere, and so did we. So that was the Pluto and Sagittarius energy for me. Yeah, and that I had put my kids in the best schools, considering here in DC, you know, the best schools were in Northwest, in Upper Northwest. So I made sure I used the right addresses to get my kids, because we go by neighborhoods to put your kids in. I used my god brother's address so my kids could go to the top schools in DC. When charter schools were developed, KIPP, which is not worldwide, but nationwide known, it was even on the Oprah show one time, was known as one of the top schools. So I took my son out of public school and put him in charter school, one of the best ones, right, in the best area. So that's kind of what the Pluto and Sagittarius energy was for me, the higher learning piece. Me myself, I only got a bachelor's degree. I never went to go get a master's. But yeah, we were traveling all day and making sure our kids got all the experiences in the world to be well educated, for what I thought. Now, getting the Pluto and Capricorn and wrapping this portion of my interpretation of what I went through in these generational times of Pluto is Pluto and Capricorn, which we are leaving behind us today, temporarily, until we are fully in it next year of Pluto and Aquarius. So Pluto and Capricorn started when good old Obama was in the office. Yes, I said Obama because he's a Bama. Bama is the word for just don't like him. So we had him in office by then, right? Restrictions. This is why I go so hard on TikTok. If y'all are on my TikTok, please find me. My 6 page is, and I said 6 because they don't like my truths on there. My 6 page is at ZEESOLRA999. So at ZSolRa999. Please find me on TikTok and see why I go so hard on Obama and them, because them restrictions was heavy with him in office. First of all, if y'all don't remember, and one thing that Gemini Brown reminded me of is that the business aspect of Pluto and Capricorn came in hard, especially with the internet building up. And so, like, where the internet was fun to be on and everybody would show their trips and stuff in Pluto and Sagittarius, once Pluto and Capricorn hit, everybody was about business online. And fake it till you make it kind of business. And the example that he used was perfect. Like, people would be bored at a party, and as soon as the best hypest song came on, like Back That Ass Up by Juvenile, people would start pulling out their phones and video recording like they had fun all along. It literally was fake it till you make it. Even that song itself is fake it till you make it, because he literally says the same thing over and over just because the beat is good. Everybody thinks it's the best song ever. Let's just be real. Let's just be real, talk about Pluto and Capricorn, which is realistic in reality. Okay? Let's just be real. But yeah, Pluto and Capricorn hit, and literally it was business. It was all about business in the White House, especially in the city I live in. It was all about who's going to get the most money, because Capricorn has to deal with money, and it wasn't going to be the people. That's the good thing about Aquarius. Even though this is going to be unpredictable, it literally is unpredictable. We know it's going to be something about technology, because Aquarius has to do with technology. We know it's going to be rebellious, because Aquarius has to do with rebellion, but it also has to do with humanity. So somehow, even though a lot of astrologers are having a hard time predicting a Pluto and Aquarius until we're in it, starting tomorrow, somehow humanity is going to grab back take back over their our earth. Humanity is going to take over our earth. We're going to take back over our government, take back over our lives. Those kind of things tie into what we possibly can expect from Pluto and Aquarius. One second. So yeah, back to Pluto and Capricorn. Pluto and Capricorn, again, started with the housing crisis. It started with a new, mysteriously out the blue, fake it till you make it type of political candidate. And it matured us, for lack of better words. This is, those born in Pluto and Capricorn are the alpha generation. So even my grandson was born at the end of this, because he was born 2 months ago as a Capricorn son. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, was born at the beginning of, or shortly after the beginning. She's like two degrees of Pluto and Capricorn. She was born in 2012. So anyway, the Pluto and Capricorn generation is all about business. They're all about money. This literally, to me, because I'm in these rabbit holes, once Obama took, we also call him Barry Soetoro, because I'll talk about his generation once I do part 2 and why they're so ugh. But anyway, he once he came in, and now that a lot of us are at the end of Pluto and Capricorn is also when America was born in 1776. As Pluto takes 245 to 250 years to go through a whole cycle of signs. So it's back at Pluto and Capricorn. It hasn't been there since 1776. And it went into Pluto and Aquarius in 1777. So we're literally at that Pluto return with the United States. We're still there because it was the same thing that happened. It was leaving Capricorn and going into Aquarius. So literally we're all finding out of the corruption that America has gone through all this time, with the last time Pluto was in Capricorn. Okay, did the bus man fussing at me? Okay, y'all, hold on one second. Well, people in DC got attitudes, and so do I, but anyway. So Pluto in Capricorn also has to do with government, because government has to do with restrictions, government has to do with money, government has to do with limitations, and becoming mature. So as we all have become more mature, even like, you know, my 10-year-old is super on my back about a lot of things that a 10-year-old normally isn't about, you know, just handling business and reminding me, and even being able to work out math problems for me if I need some kind of spreadsheet done. You know, like this boss, mature, grown people stuff. And we're talking like my grandson, boss baby, like literally will stomp his foot and know how to get what he wants and make these mean faces, and like this the way y'all know if you've been around babies, you've been babies before, you know, some of us just cry and whine and nobody knows. And my grand guy will just wave his hand like he's Hitler, like, if you don't get me this, he'll put his hand in his mouth, you know, I'm ready to take a bottle, you know, those kind of things. Or he'll arch his back like, take this shit off my ass. So it's just like these kids in this generation, the alpha generation of all things, like they're alphas. Alpha means boss. It means the first. It means the ruler. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is that energy in Pluto and Capricorn. And Pluto and Capricorn kind of made us all have to mature, or all have to watch our money, all have to boss up. And what's funny is, And this kind of has to do with the nodes. The last time the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio was in the middle of 2013 and 2014. And I'm sorry I'm going off track, but I wanted to tie this in. Even if you don't have those nodes, the nodes are currently there now. So Taurus has to do with finances. Scorpio has to do with other people's finances. And I literally retired from teaching from DC public schools, because I still taught 4 more years after I retired from DC public schools. And I pulled my retirement. Money I ain't never seen as much in one time. And I literally blew through that shit. And it was literally because Scorpio, other people's money, and I'm just being honest. And listen, we all got lessons that we have learned. I blew my money on Negroes. Literally, and I'm fine. I can do without paying somebody. I can still pull them real good, real bad. But I was just acting like a boss bitch, not even a boss bitch. I was acting like, what's the lady that looks after the hoes? Like I was pimping them out. And so it was all because I got this tremendous amount of money from retiring early and pulling the money. Where that money was after a year, I don't even want to say the amount. Y'all gonna have to wait for the book. But anyway, now getting new money, getting new opportunities. But literally, one thing about the nodes being in Taurus and Scorpio again, and now it's not Scorpio North Node, it's Scorpio South Node and Taurus North Node. Taurus is about finances. Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus is the one that rules Aquarius, the planet that rules Aquarius, the unpredictable planet. And money is unpredictable. I think one thing I can possibly predict is that our money is getting ready to change. I'm glad I put in my tax refund amount just a few hours ago. So maybe it'll be on the road. If not, I don't know. Just expect the unexpected when it comes to finances. All right, back to Pluto and Capricorn. And luckily I'm almost home, so I'm going to upload this and then I'll get back to doing a quick overview of all the generations of Pluto going into from Leo into Aquarius right now. And that's actually the half mark. That's the opposition signs. We're starting at Leo and we're going to Aquarius. And maybe after these first couple of months of the taste of Pluto and Aquarius, we can predict a little bit more about how it'll be for the next 20 years, because we're going from Pluto and Aquarius from 2024 to 2044. That's how long it's going to be in this sign for 2 decades. So yeah, Pluto and Capricorn. Other than experiencing the housing issue with my ex-husband, we literally broke up after that. It was a lot in that Pluto and Sag era, and being Pluto in Libra, both of us. That's another story for another day. But other than that, and other than just having money and blowing through it and having money again and I had a lot of money in 2020 when nobody else had it. Literally made $40,000 being a supervisor for the census in 4 months. And where that money is, let's not talk about it. But I had to learn my lessons of how I need to budget and mature and get serious and responsible with this Pluto and Capricorn energy. So it was definitely eye-opening, and it helped me boss up. It helped me. But at first I had to go through, because there's negatives and positives of everything. I had to go through the positives to see what the negatives were so I can balance it out and get it straight. So I appreciate Pluto and Capricorn for that. I appreciate Pluto and Sag for giving me the best times of my life, especially at the right times. I was still young and able to do all that fun and all them trips and all those parties and things. Pluto and Scorpio was fun because, as a Scorpio sun, sex is my thing. Had a lot of sex. I can say now that I don't really need to have so much sex because I had so much sex when Pluto was in Scorpio. Yeah, it was toxic, but anyway. And then with Pluto and Libra being born in a time where relationships were either taken advantage of or really valued was a lesson in itself as well. And even though I was very young, I still got a tremendous amount of experience with that, especially as it moved into Scorpio. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say. I want to upload this and get it to y'all so we can dig deeper later. Please leave any comments you have about this and anything I've said or the times I said, and if you can relate, please drop your the way you felt about it or something that you might want to share in the comments. All right, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'm TMZ, teaching everyone abundantly, empowering many, Zakia, enlightening every day. And this is Get a Life Astrology, because we are growing into divine adults and loving ourselves forever. Peace.